Welcome back to Imperium Galactica. Time for the human empire to strike back at the Dargslan, begin taking their territory, starting with Exterior 3, and trying to push them back for the first time. Now, before we get into that, I like the symbolism of the time frame here. The first day of the year, new era, new campaign. All of that works really well for me. There are some strategic questions that were raised that I want to get into. I want to be clear that at this point, I no longer have everything quite as optimized as it was earlier in the game. It's still simply too dynamic, too many different moving parts to really make that reasonable. Like, for example, in the Garthog campaign, I knew what was going on with everything, you know, how much development there was going to be on each of their planets, and could set the optimal order. And the galaxy simply isn't that simple anymore. But a couple of the suggestions that have been made that I'm not going to take, but I think that they are very reasonable suggestions, so I want to get into that a bit. For example, the Free Nation Society is an enemy of ours that are humans. Like, this planet over here, that's Morgath, so it wouldn't work here. This is Morgath as well. But if we found, for example, some of their human planets, were to recapture those, well, you get more income from the human planets, even if it's not your own, you know, even wasn't originally colonized by us. We'd eventually be able to get their morale up. We'd be able to build all the normal buildings. So that would be more profitable. But money-wise, you know, we're going to be doing pretty good on money. I don't think we're going to necessarily need that. And diverting our attention to them, in my opinion, not worth basically diluting the resources we're putting at the Dargslan. Now, another question is, okay, where are we at in terms of, you know, our ground vehicles? A couple different ideas were thrown out. One is, you know, why not do heavy tanks instead of the behemoths? They're a little bit faster to build, but they're under half the cost, and you know, they're almost as good, really. But the thing about it is, having maximum abilities, maximum capabilities in your ground vehicle unit is important, in my opinion, particularly since you can't just add more vehicles to it. There's only so many you can carry on an invasion at once, so to have maximum impact on invasion, really want the best of everything. And again, if money was more of a concern than it is, then I might go that route. But since it's not, I think we're going to be more effective in this particular avenue. Then the heavy rocket sleds suggested that I take more of those for more offensive punch, and that would give me more punch. But I like having a really good tank line in front of my heavy rocket sleds, because the AI will target them if it can get to them. It knows they're really dangerous. It'll target the rocket sleds aggressively. And so by protecting them with the tanks, I don't get in a situation where they've knocked out my tank line. I've just got a bunch of heavy rocket sleds trying to fend off a big tank rush by the enemy, because they'll just go down quickly, and the overall impact of the attack, in my experience, it tends to be less doing it that way. So, better or worse, that's the approach that I'm taking, and even though not perfectly optimized, again, it should be very effective in my opinion. So let's head into Exterior 3 and get this counterattack underway. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got going on here. They have the Hyper Shield, which is the best shield that you can have. The Meson Projector, best planetary gun. Ion Projector, which is entry level, and then the second tier Plasma. So it's a variety, but we don't have to carry or care about the Ion and the Plasma. We can just rush those with our flagship's guns. Won't be a problem. These are more dangerous. Even though there's only one of them, the Meson Projector would do significant damage to our shields by the time we could take it out. They're powerful. And then, of course, the Hyper Shield, you know, protecting them against damage. We need to take that out first, as usual. I think it's worth looking at here. I'm going to move forward and down this way to get into position. I think I'm going to want to be about there. But take a look at the range here. You can see, like, the green line being the Meson guns, they literally can fire at most of the system from this sort of central location. So the range and coverage on those is just, it's remarkable. Meson guns are not to be trifled with. But first up, let's take out this lovely Hyper Shield. This will require many bombs. And we're going to see our bombs shot down more than we did earlier in the game. So we're going to need to definitely use bunches. Salvos in bunches. You don't want to just ever fire 1 or 2 bombs off if you've got an active Meson projector on the planet. Because they're not going to get through. So I'm going to begin with 4 of each. Total of 12 bombs. Let's see how that does. Okay. So there's no more shield left on this. And most of the hull is down. A little over half. And notice we can't fire any more bombs from this. The Thorin is out, but the Kraken still have quite a few. So it's time for them to take a starring role. I'm going to throw an additional 4 bombs at this. Okay, we got it. Now I'm going to move you down here a little bit. We're going to move the Thorin up over this way. And the reason I'm doing this is I just sort of want to split up my vectors. Let's actually move you back so that we can turn you around and have you facing the proper direction. But I'm going to be firing at this one now, and I don't want it to be able to shoot at both sets of bombs at once. So that's the reason why I'm doing all of that. Then we're going to, with the 2 remaining flagships that have bombs, the Krakens, we are going to fire off at this. I'm going to start with a group of 8. Now, in my experience, we got it most of the way down, but not all the way. In my experience, firing 4 is about the minimum useful amount. But I'm going to go with 6 here. And the reason is I just want to make sure I finish it off. Because if I fired 4, and let's say a couple of them get shot down, and then they get this down to where it's almost destroyed, but not quite. Well, I can't just throw 1 or 2 more bombs at it. I'd have to throw out another 4. So I think if I just throw 6 here, I can have reasonable confidence that this is actually going to go down. And then we can complete our conquest. There we go. Okay, so that worked pretty well. We're going to take all of you. We're going to hammer this one first because it's the most dangerous. We're just going to see how quickly these melt against our Meson guns. Boom. Gone. Gone. It's nice knowing you. And this is the planet now of Exterior 3. All the Morgath buildings we've seen before. They don't have any defensive structures such as the fortresses here, or strongholds, or anything like that. So we just need to deal with their tanks. Now it's very blocked off along the edges. There's really only one, I mean this isn't going to work, only one good place, which is this lower left, so we'll just deploy here. Okay, so we are set up again, rocket sleds behind tanks. Let's see how this goes. Hello. Okay, we have rocket sled. I think that's, yeah, it's another rocket sled, and they've got some heavy tanks in here, some mediums. So these are all significant customers, but again, you can only fit 8 on a planet that does not have a defensive structure. And they have the full 8 here, but that's it. And they tried to charge us right away. Well, bad things are going to happen to them. I actually don't even have time here, I don't think, to move any of this up into position. We're just going to sort of sit here and pound them. And a little worried about this tank, but they're spreading out their firepower enough. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to get it now. Boom. So that was short and sweet. 3 medium, 3 heavy, 2 of the heavy rocket sleds. And Exterior 3 now belongs to us. Now, of course, we need to do the usual items here in terms of setting up the planet. We're not just going to leave it as it is. So this bunker, this reduces the total casualties from the ground attack. Remember, it was 1/3 earlier in the game? Well, this is more like 10%. And of course, we're going to lower the taxes down all the way. That's going to be an important aspect. But we're not going to want the bunker anymore because nobody is going to land here again. So that can go away. And let's take a look. Let's just move around a bit. Spaceship factory, we'll want to keep that. We'll want to repair it. We've got nuclear plants, police station, one of them. That's good. Development center, we're not going to be needing you. Food factory, arcology. The hospital's damaged but still intact, so we shouldn't really need to do anything with that. Weapons factory, let's repair you as well. Let's take a look at what they've got here. So they have plenty of power. And I think more than we need. I think we can safely get rid of one of these power plants. Let's see, is there one that's more damaged than the other? Is it? 10% I think is about as high. Let's get rid of that. And they only have one police station. So I'm going to want to put up one of those. And then we're also going to want to put up a trade center, of course. But I think that's it, other than the spaceport. Should be good on everything else. You can see the kind of weird little beginning constructions that the Morgoth have. So, we will simply leave our fighter here until we get, that military spaceport up, and then we will absorb that back into our reserve. I'm going to throw up the Hubble that we have built for this. And that way when our fleet moves, this is all set. And then I'm just going to head back, resupply with more bombs, and find another planet to go destroy. There is a trap, though, that can happen with your production once it gets this high, where you'll be wasting some of your production on small items if you're not careful. So we need 30 bombs in this particular case to replace what we used at Exterior 3. And if we just put all of our production into that, as I have done here, and just let it go forward, look at how this cycles up. It'll build 82% of a bomb, and then it'll finish it. Because on any individual tick, the amount of production that's going into this, it doesn't overflow onto the next one. So it can only finish the current item. It can't finish the current item and then put the leftover into the next one that it's producing. So given that, I don't actually want to leave these as they are. What I want to do is I'm going to put these three at 10 each. And so we can see that we've got almost 2/3 of the production going towards the bombs, but the other is going here. And by advancing it that way, we're going to build half of a bomb basically at a time each tick. And we don't have enough production to build one full bomb. So getting one bomb every 2 ticks, or every 20 minutes, is the best that we're going to be able to do. Forward to January 4th, and we've taken over a couple more planets. Center 13, Center 14. And Center 14 is actually kind of an interesting scenario. It is possible to capture a planet but have the population be so low that it'll just die out before you can turn it around, and then you'd have to recolonize it. So, situation here is about 2,000 people before the invasion, got down to less than 1,500 after the losses from the attack, and then it, keeps going down. Now, the loss has slowed, but they aren't coming back around again, and under 1,000. So, this planet is not going to be worth a whole lot, no matter what, once it gets in order. Now our fleet is headed over here to reload at Giantropolis, and then we're going to head out to Outer 17. We have also got all of the advanced spy satellites up now, so we know where everything is. If we take back a look at here, probably the best place to see where everything is going in the overall picture. And you can see the dribs are about various places. The Solops appear to be doing the best in the not us or Dargslan category. But overall, they have 20 Dargslan planets left, and we've already taken 3, so it would have originally been 23. And there's 6 of them, I think, that we can hit that don't have space bases on them. But up here is really the core. Multiple, high-ranking space bases up in this area. those are going to be tough to get. We'll probably end up getting those last. On the production front, I've sort of prioritizing things a little bit more now to ramp up to getting cruisers. So I'm still got to have most of the effort into the Meson guns, even with the number that we had pre-built. Some in the pulse lasers and a little bit in the missiles. And I should note that I'm not even sure we're going to need to use the missiles at all. I may be able to get through this without using them, but I just want to have them just in case, and we don't have to spend that much effort in building them anyway. So, I'm willing for this to take a few days longer on the off chance that maybe I do need them. It's all a matter of whether or not we're going to be forced to battle the Dargslan fleets, or whether or not we're going to be able to continue to just hit their planets and not engage them. And that's kind of up to the Dargslan and what they do. Next day, we get a message from the Acombs. Now, I think it's worth noting here as well, you can see that our overall relations with the other races are higher. Some of them joined us against the Dargslan without us actually asking them to. But we're still not on great terms with at least the Free Nation Society and the Dribs. Sulips and Eclipse, though, are high enough that they're not great, but they're not attacking us anymore. So we've also got limited now concern with the aliens coming after us, Dargslan being the higher priority, and the galaxy is more and more realizing this. And they want us to give them 100,000 credits to continue pursuing the war. We are not at a point where we have enough money to just throw it out there without slowing ourselves down, so I'm not actually going to do that. The Achaean Trade Union is just going to have to suffer without it. But the Morgath asked for this not that long before they were eliminated, although they were asking for 50,000 at the time. And if we get up to the point where we have a big cash reserve, then I may actually throw some money at them, because, the more help we have, obviously, the better off we're going to be. Time now to hit Center 1. Quite an interesting planet. And it also is going to be our first look at the Kahudri cruiser. So that's going to be nice. But some other things to look at first. Center 3, they just tried to attack it twice. Dargslan fleet and the Free Nation Society fleet both hit here at the same time. They both lost. So lots of infighting with the other races continuing to help us. And then Center 14. Look at the population growth here. That's just hilariously bad. We're obviously not going to be able to get anything useful of significance out of here over the time span of this game, but we did get it turned around and the colony didn't vanish into nothing, so take what we can get there. Let's get this planet as our latest conquest. We take a very slight bit of damage to the Thorn in the last battle from one of the lesser planetary guns. Alright, so we've got another hyper shield here in this case. Some of them have had them, some of them haven't. We have fusion projector and then the Meson, so we will take the hyper shield on the Meson naturally. But the cruisers here, one of the primary advantages they have over the lesser cruisers, or the destroyers, is that they have missiles and bombs as well. So it's not just anti-ship capability, they will also be able to add to our planetary bombardment and allow us to, take out more and more entrenched forces with the bomb capacity we have, do somewhat less rearming. And, of course, that will become more and more of an asset to us the further we go and get more of them in place. We have enough weapons for more of them, but we are, just gradually catching up on the cruisers to the weapons that we have. We don't have enough for only a few more, so it's not a big gap at this point. But here I'll just send off 2 from each and see how close that gets us. Okay. Probably 1 more from each, I think, can probably handle this. And indeed it does. Alright. So the Meson's over here. We're going to want to shift up that way. And hopefully we won't get too close to their guns while we're doing that. Okay, why don't you just sit there. And we're going to fire... We have another one of each that we can throw out. And then everybody's going to be dry except for the Krakens. So I think what I'm going to want to do... Let's see, 7. Yeah, I'll go with 7. Okay, that worked pretty well. Another batch of 6. Should finish this off. And it did. Okay, now they're still trying to fire at this. And hopefully we can, got that one extra bomb floating around, we can get in here and do some damage to the fusion while it's doing that. Oh, nope, it caught it in time. So, this is an interesting planet for a number of reasons. It's a lot more items here, it's a lot more occupied, higher population than the previous ones we've hit, so it's going to be a nice one to acquire. But they have extra factories, because they've got a spaceport and everything. We have a weapons factory here, and then over here there's an equipment factory, and a spaceship factory, and then another equipment factory, and another weapons factory. So it's kind of like the Garthog capital world, where they had multiple development centers. And in this case, lots and lots of power plants. I'm sure we won't need quite that many. But we're going to get an extra weapons and equipment factory above what should be the limit. So I'm not going to complain about what we get. All the way around the edge. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to go down here. Start at the bottom. This might be as reasonable as anything. Okay, so we have some new fun to deal with here. They've got an auto repair tank. On the other hand, they have a radar car. And then they have heavy rocket sleds. And it looks like, heavies and mediums here again. So pretty significant resistance. But these repair tanks are a new item of joy for us. And I think what I want to do is just swing this side forward. There we go, and just sort of keep these where they are. Go ahead and pound there. Let's have these get up here. You are not moving in as much as I want. Get in there. Attack it. Want to make sure that we're doing okay, because we're hitting... Okay. Now, everybody now can go run at the heavy rocket sled. There we go. And then the radar car can go away quickly. Got to chase it down. And another flawless victory. We have yet to lose a vehicle on the ground, or even come that close to it. But I want to be a little bit cautious and keep it that way. And we found the plans of field telescope, which we don't care about. Now, in between all these, since we have actually a military spaceport, let's go ahead and see what we have available. Do we have another cruiser? We do not have another cruiser ready yet. Nope, it's not quite finished. So what I am trying to do is keep bombs ready ahead of time. If we take a look at the bomb production, of course I have to constantly tweak these numbers. But we have enough bombs here, I think, to replace a battle we lost, maybe a few extra. I'm going to want to add some extras in here. I'm probably going to want to take this up to about 45 or 50 again. We're going to use most of these. But just enough bombs to completely fill if we drain them so we can keep the attack going. And of course, what that also does mean is that we're not producing that many weapons for our future cruisers. But you can only do so many things at once. So I just need to keep, you know, the pressure on, and then whenever I have the factory space, you know, focus in more on the weapons and get more cruisers. And we don't have nearly enough yet to take on the space-based planets, but we will gradually get there. I mean, you see, like 60,000 power here. This is just crazy. And now we're going to need a lot of that power to work on these factories, but we don't need this dev center here. You know, there's a bunch of food factories, I think. Yeah. I can get rid of one of the food factories, maybe two, but I'm just going to get rid of one for now. And then probably need a repair. So that field telescope can go. Yeah. So that'll definitely, you know, boost what we're able to do and continue accelerating that process. I think... How many do I want to get rid of? You know, I think I'm just going to get rid of one of these clusters of power plants and then keep the rest. Yeah, that might have been a little bit more than I want to get rid of, but I don't think so. I can always build another one later. So we will continue on with this process between now and the next episode, continuing to grab all of the Dargslan planets. But so far with the reduced attack on us, it really feels more and more just like a matter of time. We've just got to gradually work up a more respectable fleet of the cruisers and the weapons for them, and eventually be able to hit bigger targets. We're down to 18 now, I believe, Dargslan planets. So, you know, we took over 5 this episode. That's decent progress, and that's our magic number. Soon those 18 are gone, we will be victorious. So thanks for watching. The campaign will continue next time on Imperium Galactica.